Hi everyone. Thought since we're down here in lockdown, I might as well do some videos and put some information out for everybody. I had talked a little bit on my Facebook page a little bit ago that I was going to do something on anxiety and stress, given everything that we got going on today, with everybody being in lockdown and quarantine and people stressing because they're out of work and, you know, waiting on when they're going to release us and so forth. And you know, people are homeschooling their kids and they're not used to that. There's just a lot of changes and shifts that have been going on, and people's stress levels have really hit an all-time high. I've been doing a lot of phone consults with patients and clients, and that seems to be the number one thing, is the stress and the anxiety. And you know, none of us are immune to that, and none of us are immune to worry. So what do we do? You know, what are some of the things, and what's the difference between just standard anxiety and when we're stuck having a actual panic attack? I've had a few patients that I've talked to recently, and they were just straight up having panic attacks because they're just, you know, worried and concerned. And so, you know, when you've got mild or severe apprehension, uneasiness over, you know, what's going on, you know, sometimes, you know, we could break out in that cold sweat. Some people are getting heart palpitations, can almost feel like you're having a heart attack. Pressure in the chest, your mouth goes dry. You get a little bit lightheaded sometimes. You know, you need to support, number one, your adrenals and your thyroid when that's happening, and your nervous system. Those kind of play together. Believe it or not, people that have type A blood type are more prone to anxiety and panic than the other blood types. They have a harder time system-wise breaking down stress hormones produced by the adrenal glands. I fall in that category. And adaptogens can be wonderful tools that you can help to overcome the tendency for anxiety by reducing the production of those stress hormones. Avoid caffeine and other stimulants. Taking your B complex is really, really important, particularly B6, and get all those refined sugars and stuff out of your diet, because you know, those are not going to be helpful for nutrition or even supporting the immune system. But, you know, we've got a parasympathetic nervous system, and it releases certain agents when we go into stress mode, okay? And, you know, that's where people that are high anxiety and dealing with a lot of stress might not pay attention. Some might, but your eyes are going to be more photosensitive because your pupils are going to stay bigger, all right? They're getting larger so that you can see more of your surroundings and what's happening for that fight or flight that you're stuck into. Some people can do Lobelia in drops, taking like 10 to 15 drops every couple of, you know, 2 to 3 minutes, or a capsule of Kava to help bring, you know, that panic attack kind of under control. Flower remedies are another beautiful tool that you can use. Distress remedy by Nature Sunshine. I'm going to put a link down below in the video description where you can kind of look for some of these products that I'm talking about that you can kind of incorporate. Distress remedy is a beautiful flower remedy, and it's great for kids too. It really doesn't have much of a taste or a flavor, so it's easy to get in kids. You can use it with your pets. I used to use it with my beagle all the time. She used to have really hated the sound of gunshots. She was a rescue beagle, and we assumed she had been used for hunting at some point, but she would freak out at gunshots and, you know, the 4th of July, but even when a thunderstorm came, the dog would just go wiggy on us, and there was no sleep that anybody was going to have when there. We knew probably a good half hour, 45 minutes when there was a storm rolling in. She was a great weatherman, miss her dearly. But you know, hydration, breathing. I tell my patients all the time, breathing is cheap, free, and easy, and we don't do enough of it. I mean, yeah, you're breathing, but I'm talking about deep, you know, breathing in through the nose and holding it and then releasing it. Can, you know, people don't realize the importance on how that can help calm you down, because it's throwing some more oxygen into your system. So it's a beautiful tool. But some of the other herbal supplement remedies that you can use, one of the companies that I advocate is Nature Sunshine, and they have a great product line. I've used it in my practice, gosh, for over 10 years, 12 years now, 12, and I have really good results using their products. I mean, they're not the only product on the market, but some of their combination products you can't get anywhere else. Their Adaptamax is phenomenal. Their Adrenal Support, they have a complete flower remedy line. Distress remedy is one of those that I was talking about. Kava, Lobelia, Magnesium. Okay, their nervous fatigue formula is phenomenal. You can even, for those of you that use a lot of essential oils and you like to diffuse those or apply them topically, those can be a benefit as well. You can use lavender, you can use neroli oil, patchouli, rose. Put those in a roller ball. You can apply them topically. You can diffuse them into the air, the room that you sleep in, that kind of thing, to help relax you. But your B complex is going to be critical. And for those that are concerned about, okay, I haven't gotten this COVID-19 yet, but what can I do to strengthen my immune system? And there's even people that they're stressed out about the quarantine, but they're even more stressed about when the quarantine gets lifted, because they're afraid of moving back into normal life out in public, because there's all this talk that, this COVID could make another massive reboot and could make another pass, and people are kind of worried about that. So you need to strengthen your immune system the best that you can, and some of the things that you can incorporate with that is going to be zinc. Supports the immune system, and I recommend taking 1 tablet 3 times a day. That's just my recommendation. Vitamin D3 supports the respiratory system in a beautiful way, and again, those B complexes. And if you know that you're prone to anxiety, and even if you're A blood type, add some B6 on the side. It works as a natural diuretic too for people that have high blood pressure and edema issues, with no side effect, because it's water soluble. Your B vitamins are water soluble. But there's another issue out there for B vitamins. A lot of people, there's people walking around with something called the MTHFR factor, and they don't even realize it. And that means they can't metabolize synthetic forms of folate, which is folic acid. That's the synthetic version, and B12. The synthetic form of that. So you want to make sure that you get the methylated version. I'm just telling everybody, take the methylated version. You're going to metabolize it better, cleaner, instead of the synthetic. It's just put together better. But a lot of times with anxiety, we're fearful. And the problem with fear is it's all future-based. You're worrying about stuff that hasn't happened yet, and it may never happen. It may, but it may not. So when we're focused constantly on what might be coming, it's actually robbing you of the joy of living in the present moment of what you've got going on. So it really kind of steals your joy. You're living in the future, and the future's not here yet. So, but a lot of our future is shaped by what we're doing right now. So if we're staying stalemated and stagnant in what we're doing, and just kind of worrying instead of taking it one day at a time, we're causing needless worry and anxiety. But so what are some of the symptoms when the anxiety is severe enough to interfere with your family relations, socializing, your work, because you can't concentrate, you can't focus? For a lot of people it can be debilitating, and I've been there. I've been there. You can have shortness of breath, rapid heart rate, heart palpitations. Your muscles might really tense up and lock up. Trembling, hand shaking, insomnia, you can't sleep. Yeah, you're irritable. Some people get the chest pains, the cold sweats. Just don't feel like yourself, and when it stays like that, it's going to lead to other health issues. It can raise your blood pressure. We all know that stress kills in one form or another. It keeps the body running more acidic. it affects our immune system, believe it or not. So, people that have cancer, diabetes, any autoimmune issues, stress works against them too. So, you've got arthritis, fibromyalgia, those are very affected by stress and the stress markers that your body puts off in the hormone release. So we want to do what we can to keep those balanced and in order. There's a high correlation between anxiety and addictions, because people are reaching for other things to try and calm them down, slow them down. But there's 12 distinct subtypes of anxiety. Okay, so you've got your panic disorder, you've got phobias, you've got obsessive compulsive disorders, post-traumatic stress syndrome. Those are just some of the generalized anxiety disorders. And according to the Surgeon General, there's like 16% of adults from the ages of even 18 to 24 that have experienced one subtype of anxiety disorder that can last at least a year. None of us are immune for anxiety, and we all live on the same planet, and we all, whether it's loss of a job, loss of a loved one, what we've got going on here, people don't know where their next dime might be coming from, people that are waiting on unemployment checks that haven't come yet. A lot of these stimuluses are, if you own a small business, a lot of the small business owners haven't gotten their stimulus money yet because it's, the pecking order, and they're going to the bigger companies because they have more employees that they're still trying to pay, those kind of things. So, when we do some of these fill-ins, for the quick temporary relief, like, overusing alcohol and some of the other drugs and so forth, you're masking the symptoms. There's even certain medications like tranquilizers, antidepressants, sleeping pills, things like that. There's other ways of self-medicating, but, try and incorporate some of these natural remedies as well, even if you are on some of these medications, to help navigate it, so that because there's a lot of the natural supplements that you can incorporate with some of these other prescription medicines to work with, but you want to work with a practitioner or your doctor on those, so that we're clear. But, anxiety is not a bad thing. It's a natural reaction. God put it in there for our bodies to be able to respond and trigger when there's danger, okay? So when we perceive that we might have something that's dangerous, certain hormones are released and neurotransmitters are released, and that primes the body and our mind to jump into action. So if somebody has fear of giving a speech or talking in front of people, it can release anxiety. The legs can tremble, they start sweating, they start stuttering, those kind of things. Some people get test anxiety. Just the thought of knowing that they've got to take a test. They may know the material really, really well. They studied really well, but the minute you tell them it's a test and they sit down and take it, their mind goes blank. Everybody's got different triggers. But, start by reducing the output of the stress hormones. Taking an adaptogenic like eleutheryl root, Adaptamax, Suma combination, nervous fatigue formula. These are all really good options that you can incorporate. Find some downtime. And I know this sounds like funny, with what we've got going on. Everybody's like, I got nothing but downtime, but what are you doing with it? A lot of us are staying glued to the TV set. We're watching all this news media. Social media is rampant with all of these, negative aspects of what's going on. And if you're super sensitive to that kind of stuff, shut it off. Shut it off. If you can't walk away from it and you find yourself constantly, I gotta know, that's probably a good indicator you need to shut it off for a little bit. Dig out one of your hobbies that you used to do. Build a puzzle. Play some board games. If you sew, if you knit, you crochet, you paint, you sing, something. Turn a comedy on, something that's going to make you laugh, something to lighten the load. And, take a bath. Throw some Epsom salts in there, throw some essential oils in there, and just kind of soak. When the weather's nice outside, go for a walk. You know, just because there's social distancing and so forth like that, you know, you can go walk the trails. You can walk around if you've got a fenced-in yard. Get outside, sit in your yard, you know, start pulling weeds. Flowers are coming up, those kind of things. Just something to take your mind off of it, um, and reground yourself. It's not a natural reaction anymore for people to try and figure out how to reground themselves when they're stressed with something, because we're used to running full throttle. We're going to work and we're constantly on the go, and that's added to some of the stress. And I'm not gonna lie, the first couple of weeks I'm high energy. So the first couple of weeks of this whole quarantine and whatnot, I was like losing my mind. You know, I was like, what do I do with myself? I just, you know, I'm used to doing, I'm used to going, I'm used to having something to fill the slot, and I was like at a loss, So, you know, I'm not telling you to do something that's foreign to me either, because I struggled with it too, and I'm finding my niche. I mean, I've even gotten in my car and just taken some aimless rides down some country roads, and, you know, didn't stop really and get out and go anywhere. I just took a drive, you know, windows down, sunroof open, something. But relaxation and getting that stress under control is going to do a body good. You know, there's things you can do to help the muscles relax, again, like that Lobelia, the Kava. They're great anti-spasmodic herbs that help release muscles and can help reduce anxiety. You know, for long-term use, I would reach for Kava. It can help improve your mood, and, you know, if you have that, what I call monkey brain, where you can't shut your mind off, that keeps me awake at night a lot. The minute I can feel tired, and the minute I go in and lay down, all of a sudden my brain starts kicking in. Oh, did you remember to do this? And you got this coming up tomorrow, and it just never stops. It's like a typewriter in my brain, and been that way since I was little. And so I had to get in the habit. I haven't done it in a while, but I used to have a little notebook on my nightstand, and I'd sit up and I'd write it down, and then I could go back to sleep, because I knew I could look at that and I wouldn't forget. So, but learning how to quiet your mind is hard, especially if you're a type A personality. So, you know, sometimes these thoughts can become so obsessive that, you know, they add to that worry, the fear, the anxiety, the obsessing. So yoga, you know, YouTube has all kinds of free yoga workouts that you can do to stress, to, you know, stretch and release, stored up tension, and it gets you breathing, and you know, there's all these home exercise things going on right now because you can't go to the gym. And breathing, again, I can't emphasize how important breathing is. It's something so simple, it's cheap, free, and easy, and we don't take advantage of it a lot of times. So, you know, hydration. The elderly and those that are older, dehydration is easier for them, and the more dehydrated the body is, that makes your lungs dehydrated as well, so it reduces the mucosal lining in there and makes you more prone to get viruses, believe it or not. And the elderly are more susceptible to dehydration because they breathe more rapidly and more shallow. And anybody that's ever blown on a window with your breath, I mean, it leaves moisture. If you drink a lot of coffee, you're dehydrating yourself, so you got to replace it. You know, if you drink 1 cup of coffee, you need to replace it with 2 cups of water. Anything carbonated is going to dehydrate you. Alcohol is going to dehydrate you. You know, try and drink half your body weight in ounces when it comes to water. Make sure you're hydrated enough. With this whole COVID thing, you know, drinking more hot liquids instead of cold liquids is going to be better. I don't drink ice in my water. I drink room temperature water. Your body hydrates faster when you do that, believe it or not. I rarely put ice in my drinks, just depends on what I'm drinking, but I try and avoid it. And, you know, this too shall pass, and we all know that in the back of our head. It's, you know, going to be a rough transition, I think, when all of this is said and done and everybody goes back to work. You know, there's going to be a lot of fear. You're still going to have to probably keep a lot of that social distancing in place. You know, and I think some of these things should have been in place to begin with, but not to a over-the-top degree. But, you know, it's the... I'm a physical person. I like to hug people. I like to shake hands. I'm a touchy-feely kind of person. So this whole social distancing thing has been a rough adjustment for me. Um, you know, can't see family members and grandkids and things like that. So it's stressful, especially if you live alone. You know, people that live alone, you know, that phone calls are great, video chats are great, but it's not the same thing as having somebody physically, you know, that you can face-to-face talk to, reach out and touch, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of stress going on with some of that for people that are, you know, they're physical people. And so, you know, hang in there and do what you can to reduce your stress. And I'm going to put a link down below, and I will note some of the different remedies that I talked about in this quick video. But hang strong, a lot of prayer, and be there for everybody. But this is going to pass. This is going to pass. And hopefully we come out on the other end appreciating more of the things that we took for granted before this whole thing kicked in. I hope something positive can really transform out of this. So, all right, guys, talk to you later.